Hi, LLC people. We're back. Back again.
Guess who's back?
LLC's back. Just kidding.
Tell
All
a
right.
friend.
Anyhow.
Tell a friend.
Guess who's back? Guess
Guess
who's
who's
back?
back?
Guess who's
Guess
back?
who's back?
Guess who's back?
See, at least you guys picked up what I was putting down. So I love it. I love it. It is April. Tell him, Clyde. Tell him. I mean, bye. My bad.
Oh boy.
Hi,
Speak to
Kai.
they want to know how you
Ew, that face.
was popping.
Popping?
Dad, I need an edge up.
Ooh.
He needs some moisturizer. I love
Ooh.
you, though. I love you, though.
Man, can you say like father and son hairline? It's just there.
Ooh.
That's amazing.
Facts.
Yeah.
Kai, how was school today? Did you go to school?
Yeah,
How was it?
you're good.
Did you behave
Yeah.
yourself, Kai?
What?
Did you behave yourself?
I did.
Yeah.
I feel like that was
Wow.
a half truth.
Wow.
He said,
I ain't doing nothing.
You do
I
it
love it.
in the office.
Did you get in trouble at school?
Okay. I did.
The side eye is
What did
killing
you-
me.
Was mad at Amivia.
No.
mm,
I'm mad at Amivia.
Yeah.
I'm so happy.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't with you, Kai. Oh, goodness. All right. Well, you had an entertaining day. We know that. What does that say? Cheek to cheek. How was your day?
Good.
My day was good. Yeah, as Kai said, my day was good. I didn't quite get as much done as I wanted to get done, so it's gonna be a late night, but my day was good.
That's some real lady in red vibes right there.
I try.
Yes.
Try.
See,
No.
that probably went over Clyde's
Yeah, I
head.
don't
He has
get it.
no
Hold
idea.
on. I know the song. Glad you tried to clean that up for him.
Chicken said, "Queen, not back."
I had to rep the hometown today.
That's right.
These are my own chips.
You can go get some there on the counter.
These are my own chips.
Governor, how are you today?
What?
What am I?
Who's that? Me?
Yes, Governor. Sorry. I couldn't stop laughing.
Hey. Okay, this shit.
Little wind swept, little sunburnt,
Yeah. Windburn.
little
Just remember
yeah, little dehydrated. You know, my afternoons are now spent
What?
trying to replace the fluids that I lost.
What?
My afternoon nap is in full swing.
What? Afternoon
yeah.
nap?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It
Where
is.
do I
It
sign
is.
up for that?
It is really something that I highly recommend. I don't think it matters where you do it.
It's not my
Doesn't
In
matter.
the car. Just go in the car.
Exactly. Just don't get out of the car. Just stay there.
Later.
Outrageous.
No, it's not my car.
Sometimes it's planned. Sometimes it just happens naturally. It's a beautiful thing.
Wow.
I think it's
Kai, did you take a nap today?
Because you did.
Oh man.
You didn't?
No.
No.
Alarm.
Did you fake sleep? So when everybody went to sleep, you just laid there and kept your eyes open? No?
That's funny. All right, y'all. Well, track is back. I'll say track was not back in Texas this weekend. It was cold. It was horrible.
Daddy's not home.
I hated it.
Where are
Yeah.
you? Where are you?
In Texas.
I think you're insects. I love
But
Mom.
what did happen was Grand Slam track, because they were not in Texas. They were in Jamaica.
That's right.
So
That's right.
we'll get back to that later. But in other places of the country, there were some great things that happened.
Mhm.
So what stood out to some of you, or to you guys, the highlight?
What's it?
Mm,
Where did cheek to cheek go?
I don't know. Because he was our
Sorry, I went to get I went to get power juice.
Okay.
My iPad was struggling. Sorry.
yeah, because I was not in the state of Florida, so that's where all the fun stuff happened, apparently.
Yeah. So the head gator sends out a general his general take on Florida relays is, if you watch the first 2 or 3 events, you have a pretty good idea how the rest of the meet's going to go. So when you had high school kids running 10 twos and 11 twos and 11 O's to kind of start the meet, yeah, it just went like that.
It's about to be on and popping. So.
I mean, listen, the USF guy ran the most controlled and technical 987 run by a collegian in a very long time.
Mhm.
And you can discard it if you will, because it was 2.2. And I will tell you, you're making one of the bigger mistakes you've ever made. Because again, 2.2 still makes that race 988 or
Mhm.
989.
Pretty
Right?
awesome.
Like, we're not talking about 4.1. Like, it was a from being legal, and it
Mhm.
was technical. Just like he ran there like there wasn't another human being on the track. Like in 10 minutes he's gonna run another one. And you know that Andre and the Pips running 38:08 in the 4x1 just cause was hilarious.
Mhm.
Um,
Who officially was on that team? Because it wasn't what was on.
I
the
think it
intros.
was the I think it
it
was the
was
team from the
that
games.
Oh, rude.
I think it was the same 4 from the games.
Oh,
No.
no.
No. Oh wait, for Canada it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
For Canada,
Yeah.
yes. I think it's the same 4. And you know, there was other like wild kind of random things, you know, like the high school girls 4x2 produced like number 2, 3, and 5 in the country. And and probably the most shocking thing that happened this weekend was Quincy Wilson got the stick ahead going into the anchor leg of a 4x4 racing high school people, and he got walked out and beat
by a football commit.
by a guy that's going to Illinois to play football.
Wow.
So yeah, that happened.
Mhm.
And then I would say equally pleasantly surprising was Damaris Waters running 13.2 twice. And I think the first one was barely legal and the second one was like well legal. And he ran 24 and 21, and I'll be honest, it looked like he could have just kept running. Like, it was very technically sound and looked like he does that all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, very talented young lady from South Carolina went out and PB and ran 50 point in the 400. Even though we know the 200 is her specialty.
So
pretty sure she can run
should
anything.
It be? So should it be?
Yeah, see, that's the weird part, right? Is she ran more quarters and longer stuff in high school. So, I
I
mean,
mean,
I think that will be an interesting thing going forward.
I just throw that out there. Obviously, we're all big fans of her and Tim, her coach. But
Yeah.
it's like in the landscape that is pro track Team USA, which she is going to be in very shortly, right? Like the 400 meters kind of has this void
Yeah.
that she could easily fill.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of
Mhm.
people think she should. Whereas
And I think that it may happen.
The 200 is kind of a, kind of a death trap right now, right? Like there's so many people in the women's two on the American side. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where she ultimately lands and what she decides to do. But she's been impressive since day one, and Tim and them have done a great job with her, and we know that that'll continue. To the Damaris Waters point, yeah, that was fun to watch, wasn't it?
Like honestly, it was, and I thought, look, and I'm sure. I mean, I know you mean that both honestly and tongue in cheek, but
Yes.
I thought about you immediately. Just being honest.
No,
Like,
listen,
I get it.
I'm super proud of that kid, and he's doing exactly what I thought he would do and could do, and I'm just happy to see it playing out this way. I mean, the Gator record book in the hurdles is impressive.
Yes,
Of
it is.
course, it is headlined by the GOAT, Grant Holloway.
Chewy.
Mr. Waters is now number 2 all time.
Chewy.
Yes, baby.
Which is pretty crazy.
It is. Because that is not an easy list to surpass.
No.
It's a hard list to get on, let alone to
absolutely
get to the top of.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, a lot of times people go to meets like Florida relays or Texas relays, and all they want to do is talk about what happened on the track. But let me just give y'all just a couple of snippets out here to the world. 74-11 was 6th in the javelin.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy.
76-57, 77-13, 78-26, 79-72, and then 82-63. Everybody I named is a collegian except the 82-63.
Wow.
Right? Like that's wild. And then this is the one. Now, this happened last year at Florida Relays too, but when you see it happen in person, I just think y'all remember last year, Mouse ran an entire heat of Gators and they all ran like under 149.
Mm-hmm.
So this particular maneuver was almost even crazier. So these are the times from the 800 at Florida Relays: 145.04, 145.16, 145.99, 146.76, 146.76, 147.18, 147.32, 147.34, 147.37, 147.59, 147.60, and the poor bastard who was last, 148.04. All of those people are in college. All of those people are in college. So
but they were running at the wrong meet. They should have been running at Stanford.
Yeah.
And it would have mattered.
Ha.
And it would have mattered. Didn't matter. It was on the wrong coast.
So one thing stood out to me at Florida Relays, and it is the long jump, 7-meter long jump.
And again,
from Alexis
windy,
Brown. Yes.
but not that windy.
Well, if it's not, you're talking about the number 4 jump in NCAA history.
Correct.
Like she would have surpassed Jackie Joyner Kersey's 699.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what a year. And we saw it start. It started last year, I would say, at the conference meet at 1 a.m. in the morning?
Yeah.
And here's the thing about transferring, things not working out, stuff like that. This is what you want to see happen. when someone makes that move where they go somewhere, Florida in this case, and transfers to work at Baylor, injuries, all that stuff, and now we're seeing a culmination of, a coach and an athlete teaming up. And this is phenomenal. This is what we need. We need to see
Yeah.
these big jumps, and I don't know if it was lost on anyone that she did it at Florida, but still, at the same time, I am happy for the event. I'm happy that she's now set the standard. And anyone that's looking to compete or get in that top three, they know what they have to do now. I know what it was like as an athlete myself, where you're looking on the list and you see that big massive jump out there, and your imagination takes off. So I think this could be the catalyst. I mean, I think a lot of the particulars, are going to raise their game because of this number that's been put out there.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no doubt about
So what did the 4x4s look like?
that.
Let's hear about, being on the ground. What did you see?
So the 4x4 Florida relays is always it's always really fast and it's always really competitive. And when A&M is there, especially here recently, it's always contentious.
Mm-hmm.
And Florida is at home and running inspired, but also running without two and maybe three of their A team, but definitely for sure, without question, without two.
Okay.
And going into the anchor leg, it was Florida, Iowa, someone, and maybe no, was it South Florida? No, Auburn and A&M.
Okay.
And they all kind of got the stick kind of bunched together. They went around halfway around the first turn, and the Iowa kid tried to fit into a space he didn't fit, and then he was on the ground. It was unfortunate, but nobody really paid attention because of all the nonsense that was going on ahead of them. But long story short, the anchor kind of went down like you thought it was going to go down. Ahmad Robinson waits till 50 meters to go, goes blasting by, takes a look, does a we'll say an acceptable amount of taunting until he crossed the line. Then he stops immediately, turns, because if you've been to Florida relays, there's all the Gator alums are right there at the finish line,
Yeah.
right? He turns to that group, does a Gator chomp, and does one of these, and it was immediate and maybe permanent, like message sent, message received. So I would say, yeah, because when they run 302 and Auburn ran 302, which let me just tell you that was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And Florida runs 303 almost flat again without their two best guys. Like every time those three teams see each other this year, it's going to be entertaining.
Ooh-wee.
Gonna be entertaining.
The most interesting part of that whole dynamic is, and it's the part that no one's paying attention to, if Auburn has a 4x4 of that caliber a year ago.
Yep. There you go.
Yes.
There you go.
Absolutely.
So, they seem to have fixed a hole in the math. And it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Now, I know we don't spend almost any time talking about high school stuff for very specific and obvious reasons, but Quincy Wilson is different than your typical high school situation.
Sure.
And I
because
found
there were kids on the warm-up day asking him for autographs.
right.
So he's different.
I found it. I don't know the word. It was just awesome. Because let's be clear, Bullis came down there to make a statement and probably take a shot at the national record.
Mm-hmm.
and Miami Northwestern defended Florida because
Yeah.
that's all that is.
Oh no, it was billed as Florida versus the DMV.
Right.
Mm.
But going into that, like, who actually believed that Miami Northwestern had a 308 high school relay team?
Right. Right.
Right? Like,
Right.
like they're always great. You know, it's the, you know, arguably the best program in Florida every year.
Yes.
But it ain't been that.
Right.
And that was just crazy and fun to see, right? I mean, the people who are taking this opportunity to shoot at Quincy are crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like that's just dumb. It doesn't really make any
Mhm.
sense. But it's, you know, that's a very Florida moment. And if you understand anything about this sport and the history of things, that was great to see. It was great to see Miami Northwestern stand up and be like, yeah. Y'all may do all that later, but you're not going to do it here. You're not going to do it
Right.
today.
Right. Right. It was like, to me, it was fun because it was just things happening left, right, and center.
You grabbing me?
Yes, I am.
What did you make of Dana Wilson? 22:45?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't even notice the 22:45 because she ran 11:09. Like I saw the 22:45, but I almost completely forgot about it because I watched her run 11:09.
Oh man.
And it wasn't, you know, a lot of times high school kids run super fast because they're racing college people and they get drugged to it. She started that race with every intention of winning.
Mm.
Like she's not afraid of college people or pro people. I can just tell you that she will toe the line and race them. It's different. It like she looks different, if that makes any sense. Like, yes, I know she's run fast, but I'm just saying, like, she looks like the high school female that might actually be here to stay.
Mm.
So we'll see. Because, you know, there have been many before her that have looked good and it hasn't panned, but she sort of looks like, you know, like the next evolution, she's going to run 10.9.
Wow.
Let's hope her camp lets her.
Yeah.
Her do it.
Yeah.
So where's she out of? Like where's she from? Oh, okay.
North Carolina.
I know she's going to Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mistaken, it's North Carolina. Could be wrong.
Let's see. North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, there was, you know, it was what I said to the head gator was it was nice to see Florida Relays be back to being Florida Relays, because what has happened is Tom Jones has become so powerful that Florida Relays has just become a good meet. Not a shot at Florida Relays. It's just what has happened. Now, do I believe Tom Jones is going to be even better this year than Florida Relays was? Probably. But Florida Relays at least stood up and made it a fight.
Yeah.
Right? Because the high school kids came and brought it, and the college people absolutely carried the show. And, you know, there were a couple pros sprinkled in there, but honestly, it was fun to see college track and high school track like really stand up.
Yeah. What I found interesting about, I mean, on another note, was the battle at the beach. You know, LSU, USC, Oregon. I mean, just those UCLA just going to Long Beach. And, you know, Grand Canyon was there, you know, and it seemed like a little small meet, but they brought their teams and they showed out.
Good stuff, right?
Yeah, really good stuff. 11:03 in 100. I mean,
yeah,
you know,
I will contend that a properly staffed and teamed four-way meet might be the best scenario for great marks.
Yeah. Yep. You bring your whole squad.
Yep.
You've got 2 to 3 heats of everything. The meet's over in 3 hours.
Yep. And you
Everybody
go
gets
home having done
yes,
90% of what you wanted to get done.
exactly. Exactly.
3 hour meet. Sheesh. Haven't been to one of those.
In a while.
Rough.
Yeah.
Well, that's the NCAA meet. That's the NCAA meet.
Yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
we don't all get to experience that. Oh, but nonetheless. So keeping on topic, transitioning the subtopic, Grand Slam track then. So now we'll get to
Mhm.
talk about it. You know, this was opening weekend. All the fanfare on the new track at Kingston. I mean,
Which
it's
which
undeniable.
which looks phenomenal, by the way.
It does.
The track looks
does.
amazing on television.
Yes, it does.
Like,
It does.
I don't know why it was ever blue, but that was a mistake. It should have always been this.
Well, it was blue because of Bolt's record in Germany, and that company put the track in Jamaica. I mean that's why. That's the only reason why. Um, but man, I mean, there's a laundry list of observations from that meet. I admit going into it, I didn't quite understand the 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 format,
The format, yeah.
but having seen it, I mean, I hate to say it, but I was almost more intrigued to see athletes in their off events and to
Yeah.
see how they, were strategic about, okay, I know what my bread and butter is. I'm a hurdler, but I've got to turn around and run the 100. Okay.
That's you leaning into your petty.
I mean, it was kind of interesting. Now, by far, in my opinion, I mean, the most impressive were the 2-4 athletes. My goodness. I mean, it was pretty amazing. Now, the only thing that spoiled the party was the fact that they were running into 4-meter headwinds. But that's what you get in the middle of the day in Jamaica, right? And the track is not configured to go the opposite way,
Right.
you know? And I feel like, when you're putting meets like that into big stadiums and that sort of thing, that could be one of the things that needs to be addressed because it's not aesthetically pleasing to see, world-class athletes teething, and struggling to break 23.5. It's just not, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
So
long go ahead.
overall, hit or miss?
To me, I'm intrigued. I want to see more. It could be a hit. It's not a hit yet, but it could be a hit. What say you, Cheek? I didn't say that.
Yes, you
Ah.
did.
No, I did not. I
Yep,
did not.
it's crap.
So okay. I'm gonna be brutally honest about how I feel, and I think it may surprise some people. I think that this meets production. So the television packaging was the best packaging of a track meet that has happened in the United States.
Mm,
It looked like we have adults in the room who care about production and therefore it was good.
yeah.
The production. The issue is twofold. One, there is not enough product for the amount of time
Yeah.
per day.
Yes.
Subtext to that, it's too many days.
Mm-hmm.
But the other actual issue is, and Michael will never want to admit this, there are way too large of breaks in the action.
Yeah.
And the easiest, simplest way to stem said breaks would be to put in a field event in between.
Okay, sir, we should not go down that road
No,
right now.
no. What I'm saying is that's what. So there are some people who aren't going to see what I saw about the quality of the production because there were such large gaps in between the times that the production was going. We had meaningful backstory things. They were amazing. But there isn't enough of that to fill 15-minute actual gaps between races.
Yeah.
And so if you had 6 athletes in a long jump in a 3 long jump comp, you could probably fill that 15 minutes. You know, like we had something great happen in the pandemic that nobody has thought to put back in. Do you guys remember those 1v1 pole vault competitions? They were amazing.
Yeah.
Tell me that wouldn't fit in a 15-minute span.
It would.
Opening bar 560. Right? Like we only got 2 vaulters. It'll be entertaining. Same thing in the high jump. But again, I know it's never going to happen, so I'm okay with it. But I will give it a single. So it was a hit. It was a 4-hopper up the middle, seeing eye single. So I will, I will see it through to the second one.
Yeah.
But I need to see 2 things for me to tune in to the third one. One, butts in the seats, because that was embarrassing. And I think, KST, you can speak to the Caribbean nature more than I. I think if they had given away tickets to all grade school kids, then the stands wouldn't have been empty. So
to your point, they gave away tickets to anyone that showed up before 5 o'clock the second day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck.
And a few more showed up. Now, the mystery in all of this is why? Why weren't the stands full? And, I think that the answer to that question lies in the very nature of Jamaican track and field fans. Okay. Sharika Jackson ran at a meet in Miramar. Kishane Thompson ran at a meet in Miramar. Okay. That crew went to Florida and ran a race when there were perfectly viable races being held on their home track.
Okay. Wait. I'm shocked about how, I don't even know the word. I'm shocked about this. A few things. First of all, there was no one in the stands for a variety of different reasons, but I'm just going to call it, for lack of a better term, the arrogance of the planning.
Sure, the ticket prices were outrageous.
I don't care about the prices. The prices are whatever they are. This meet is put on basically on the heels of the meet that matters in Jamaica, boys and girls champs.
Yes.
Right.
The very next week.
You planned it starting on a weekday in what is rush hour in Jamaica.
Yes.
Right.
Jamaica is full of working class people.
Correct.
Everybody got to go to work.
You
could have planned it at a convenient time for the locals to make it up in there, and probably would have been more in there. But, the arrogance of it is we have all the stars and we showed up on your island, so you better come out and watch. Well, they didn't come out and watch.
Nope.
And here's the thing. Some of it I found very intriguing. I'm gonna tell you right now, the long sprints, no. I mean, I'm sorry, long distance.
No. Yeah.
No.
It's a no-go.
Can't watch it. No, can't do it. It wasn't remotely interesting at all.
Well, mainly because it wasn't good.
Right. And it's not, and in that format, I don't imagine how it's going to be good. Okay, now you're Mr. Anti-pacer, anti-lights, but that's why those things exist in meets like that. So, it wasn't good, and I don't see how that part of it's going to be good. Now, you mentioned the production. I think some of the production was awesome. And by production, I'm including, the personalities. Like John Anderson, A+.
Yes.
The British live announcer, I keep forgetting his name. A+. Sorry, our boy Anson was not good. It wasn't good at all.
But what's funny is, what's wrong with me?
I don't know.
American Miler. Yes, many things.
Matt
Centrowitz was amazingly good for what I thought he was going to be.
But here's the thing. Most of the time they had Matt Centrowitz standing there having people talk to him.
Yes.
And wouldn't let him talk.
Yes.
So it was weird, right? When he talked, I thought Centrowitz was pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought, Sonya is Sonya, right?
But I thought Sonya was better this time because she was the expert in her area on the panel. So she didn't have to figure out when to fit in and talk. I thought she was pretty good. Sure. And so, like I said, there's a mixed bag on the people that we're talking, but Anderson was doing the heavy lifting. So here's the narrative about the whole Grand Slam thing that has always been interesting for me from the beginning. It's billed as, what's the slogan? Only the fastest, right? But they actually only secured very few true stars. And Sydney doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Yeah.
I don't know what they paid Sid to be there, but man, it better be a lot because, to your point, the huge names in Jamaica, not only are they not a part of it, they weren't even there. Yeah. You don't have Grant. You didn't secure Noah. You didn't secure Sha'Carri. So the true big stars of our world have actually not signed up for it, with the exception of Sid and Gabby. And Gabby, for me, was the most impressive showing overall because in the 2 and the 4 space, given the lineup, you didn't think she could possibly find her way to emerge as the quote-unquote champion, but she kicked ass in the 400.
Yeah.
Yeah, 49-14 was spectacular.
Sid's out there playing games. Sid's out there like, hey, I'm here. Be happy to see me. This is not going to be competitive. Give me my check. Right? So Sid, we're all happy to see her run, but it wasn't intriguing at all. You know what I mean? So I mean, for me, it's a mixed bag. Like, it's interesting for sure. I want to see it again.
That's what I'm saying. They got us all to go see we're all going to see number 2.
Yeah.
Right.
But they might lose me if 2 if 2 doesn't show growth from 1, they won't get me for 3.
Yeah.
So this meet covered quite a few bases from the standpoint of star power to, full on head-to-head matchups, that sort of thing. Does anyone realize, there was one person in particular that is, I mean, I wouldn't use rag to riches, but this person was he working at Walmart?
Yeah,
the Hurdle guy, Dylan
Beard, who didn't win, but made a lot.
He sure did.
He can quit. No, he didn't win. He did not win the slam.
I know.
The French kid won the slam, but he could probably quit that Walmart job for a while.
100%. Right? And this is, and I think, again, if Grand Slam is really paying attention, right? You have your particulars. You've signed your folks in, contracted them. But there are so many stories to be told.
Yeah.
So many stories to be told. And I think that was one of them for sure. You know,
They
kudos
didn't
to
give enough attention to that.
No, they didn't. Mm-mm.
Barely any.
You know who I thought they did a really good job of giving us some backstory and us getting to know her a little bit better was Melissa Jefferson. Of course, she just got married, and I'm about to mess that up. So I know you're married. I just forgive me. Her husband seems really nice too. But I thought that part, and I also thought, and I couldn't believe that Clyde didn't mention this part, that the dabble into petty was amazing. When Crittenden and who was the other hurdler?
Zoya?
Zion?
No,
Zoya?
no, it was what they were.
Tinch.
Was it Tinch and Crittenden? No, it was Daniel Roberts and
Okay.
Crittenden. They had one of those between the races little skits, and they asked some really funny questions and got real answers. And I was like, see, now this I'm here for.
I must have missed that part trying to avoid
they asked Freddie what professional track and field athlete takes himself way too seriously.
That's a great answer.
And before the why and seriously came out, he said Fred. It was electric. Like there was a couple of those and it was, and it was Freddie and Daniel. Think about it. Other than Crittenden and the Reperchars, like we don't know anything about either one of those two people.
Yeah.
Right. So we got to see insights into their personalities without some cornball made up backstory. Like I just thought, like, again, there were pieces of this that they absolutely need to keep and do better and keep doing, because I think they're onto something. Yeah. Some of those things were really good. That one was spectacular. And the Melissa Jefferson portion was also spectacular.
I mean, so Dylan Beard won $50,000. That's right. What he won.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
Melissa Jefferson is just one of our likable characters in this game.
Yes, she is.
And you know what? Again, this was cool. That's the first 200 Melissa Jefferson has run since college.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And she was like, yeah, I know Jenna's a 200-meter runner, but you not beating me today.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was cool.
That was one of the more impressive performances.
I thought Jenna Prandini getting called off the couch and coming to get second and making a big bag was also cool.
Coming from she did just run at Texas Relays, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, listen. The one of the funniest things was the women in the hurdles running the 100.
Oh, see.
Now listen. In my house, we have some track knowledge in the house, and the debate was who's gonna win, and I said,
where I said,
oh, Danielle's gonna win because Danielle knows how to sprint. Yes. It may not be fast, but Danielle's going to win. That was forget Danielle, she was fine. That was the ugliest 100-meter race you ever gonna see. But if you're a nerd, it really, really, really highlights the completely different skill set
between hurdling and sprinting. Yeah, 100%.
Tia Jones looked like no one in the world might beat her this year in the hurdles, and looked like a child in the 100. Like that was a crazy split.
All right, in her defense, I mean, they all ran into a 3.4 headwind, but
no.
And she's tiny.
No. I don't care about. I said I don't care about the time. Go watch it again.
Oh, I know what you mean. I know exactly
running itself. That was a mess, and it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Hell, the men's 400 hurdle open 4.
Yeah.
Came out better than you would have thought on time, but man, did it look painful. it looked so painful.
As I said, my overwhelming thought process coming out of this meet was just seeing how, you're taking professionals and you're almost putting them in a collegiate environment. because that's what we need as coaches, right?
It's
We
doublers.
we need you in your pet event. We need you to show out, but we also need you on a relay, or we also will need you at the conference championships. So we were seeing a lot of these athletes in very uncomfortable
Okay, so
positions.
here's the question. You guys all watched it. What did you think is the toughest double?
Okay.
Because to me, I have the answer hands down, but I want to know what you guys think.
I mean, how do you mean tough?
Listen, you watch the meet.
Like,
Mhm.
like if you mean physically taxing, that's one thing. If you meant the biggest struggle was the women's hurdles versus the women's 100. That was the biggest struggle.
That those people for sure struggle, but you know what I mean. After watching the physical toll that it took on everybody to do it, what double do you think was the hardest?
8:15.
8:15.
100%.
And somebody asked me like, well, why is that so hard? I was like, because it's not a real double. No one does that.
No one does that.
They're two different training groups.
So you
And
ask yourself how much thought went into them running the 15 first?
I mean,
A lot.
I'll tell you what, that was another one of those kind of, and I don't mean by the meet, I mean by the athletes. The 1,500 guys were very, very arrogant.
Okay.
15.
Yes. Yes.
They played themselves
you know
right
what's
out
funny?
of a check.
You know why they played themselves? Because they don't race.
Yeah.
Because there isn't a rabbit and there isn't pacers. Every single one of them went back to their collegiate conference days where it's like, I'll sit back and kick, right? I got
and you're going to beat Wanyoni.
Cole Hawker has elite foot speed for a 1,500 meter runner.
Yes.
Wanyoni is faster than him with alcohol in his system and in his flats. So these fools just waited around and like, oh, let me unleash this kick. And Wanyoni's running and looking at them like,
what are you doing? Serious? You can't be serious.
Because if the race is at 3:35, he's gonna win.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if the race is at 3:29, probably not.
Right.
But I thought that was very interesting because that was of all the doubles that were asked for, that's the one that nobody's doing.
Okay, this is insane. So Wanyoni runs a PB of 3:35.16.
Mm-hmm.
Coming home in the 800, he ran into a -7.1.
Oh my gosh.
And ran 1:46.44. Crazy.
I think the best athlete in the meet is Nikki Hiltz.
Oh my gosh. Unbelievable.
Nikki's always impressive.
Unbelievable.
Like, I don't know if anybody's paying attention. I'm like, Nikki Hiltz just ran 158.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She runs out to the 5K, folks. Like, she's a problem.
Yeah.
She's a full-grown problem. Sorry, they.
Yes.
I'm learning.
Yes.
I'm
not.
It was not intended.
Big league.
They are definitely a problem.
Speaking of problems, if they don't change the field, you may as well cut Kenny Bednarik his check right now.
Absolutely.
The rest of them, because that group's not going to change.
No.
Well, think about it. Okay, we're going to ask for you to do 100, 200 double, and the guy who has medals in both is in the meet.
Is in the meet.
The only other guy who could possibly do it is sort of interested in track at this point.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, look, if Fred took it seriously, it'd be a nice battle between them two. But with Tabojo's not in it and Noah's not in it.
No, yep.
What are we like? Just get at what did KGB say? Pay that man his money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and so this is kind of like why I land on this where I land on it. Like, they were not able either, because again, we don't know the behind the scenes negotiations. We don't know the behind the scenes checks that had to get cut for people to contractually sign up to run.
Mm-hmm.
you got Sid first, right? And the idea was, look, the biggest star in the game is doing this. The water is warm, come on in. But then like the next 15 all rejected it. And now you're left with this. It's respectfully, it's the collection of the B stars.
So this is nothing new. Okay. Chris and I, number 2 and I, have lived and existed through an era where the majority of meets were set up for one person.
Yes.
And the field was set up to be spectators. And I don't know if there's any other way to say it, right?
They were highly paid spectators, but yes.
They were highly paid spectators, but that formula has existed all for decades.
Yeah.
And so another question that might be asked is, as part of the negotiation, was it, hey, I'm coming to this meet, but I'm not coming to be embarrassed. I'm not coming here to lose. I'm not coming here to, God forbid, my aura, my everything. That is part of the fabric of our track and field. That is something that we've always dealt with. And when there've been those moments where someone has stepped up and perhaps beaten the principal, it's like, like, what did we just see?
I mean, yeah.
And that's so I'm not saying that is true. I'm not saying that is fact, but I'm telling you that is part of the conversation.
No, I get that. I guess like, okay,
especially this early on in the season. Especially.
Sure. But I don't really think anybody could step in there and beat Sid if she don't feel like getting beat. But that's neither here nor there.
Well, who's ready to run 52-4 right now?
But you're talking about Sid. Sid is like the 2 most unbeatable people in our sport currently are Sid and Mondo. So take those 2 out.
Yes.
No, but this is the point that I'm trying to get at, right? Like, because nothing, hell, the NBA got a salary cap. The NFL got a salary cap. Did you spend so much money getting Sid that you couldn't get the bag to get the other 50? Faith's not there. Noah's not there.
No.
Sha'Carri's not there. Like all these people that aren't there, right? So is this a game changer event, new format, or is it a gimmick? And that's ultimately what I think we're all going to find out and hope that it's not a gimmick, right? Because the money that the athletes are collecting, even the ones who are in last place, says this is a game-changing situation. But if there's no one in the stands and it's not actually intriguing, does it last more than a year? That would make it.
And that's why, like, what the crowds look like in Miami are going to be very telling, I think.
But it's at Miami is at Miramar, is it not?
Yeah, it is.
There ain't no crowd. What crowd? There's no. That stadium holds like 500 people.
Yeah. For the record, I really would have liked to seen a race between Sid Nasser and Gabby in like 300.
Well, according to Sid, we're gonna get that at the LA one because she's gonna change to the long
do the 2-4,
and do the 2-4.
So I think in Miami she's doing the 100 hurdles 100,
and she'll win.
Yes,
and she will win that.
You know what I mean? But so again, to my Sid point, Sid won the easy one that everybody knew she would blow out. Now she's gonna step into the 100 hurdle one. She's gonna win that one, right? I ain't saying she's gonna win the hurdles, but in that group, she's gonna win the 100 for certain. And she'll be top 3 in the hurdle, so she'll get the check again. And then she's gonna do something else, and then she's gonna do the 2-4 that everybody wants to see. That's what I'm saying. Sydney is carrying a lot of this.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's because
she's doing what she's supposed to do.
Right. Outside of Gabby, those are the only two true stars.
Yeah. So what does it say about females versus males in this scenario where we need you to be the particular? You can spread out your wings, do off events, that sort of thing, but you got to line up twice, 4 times. And we've seen two of the biggest women in the sport do it, and we're not seeing the men commit to that. The men that should be committing to it, we're not seeing it.
Sure.
And you're telling me there's gonna be a bigger appearance / prize money anywhere? This is it right here.
No, yeah, no,
You know?
the money, like, great. I'm happy for the athletes getting their money.
I mean, you can't tell me Sydney's not gonna walk away with a mill or more.
She's gonna get $1 million off the winning.
Yeah.
And wait, is that right? So
No, it's
Wait,
100
no.
100 per,
It's-
but she
it's-
gets an appearance.
right, there's 4 slams. So
Yes.
she's
And
getting
then
400K.
she's gonna win Racer of the Year for
She's
another.
gonna win
100K.
Racer of the Year.
Yes,
So that's 5.
yes. So
And
what is
then
her appearance?
And then
fee.
whatever her contract is for being a part.
Yes.
I would imagine it's probably gonna end up being $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, for them, it's worth it. For her, it just
Yeah.
it's to Clyde's point. How much of the bag is that?
Yeah.
Right. Because there was a pool to start with.
Mhm.
Right. It's like, hey, you got X amount to go sign these 94 or whatever athletes. If you spent 50% of it on Sid, maybe that's why the star power isn't necessarily there.
Yeah. Because I think it's 5 years, 30 million. That's the pool.
See?
Yeah.
Well, they at least got us to tune in for number 2. So let's see
Yes.
what happens.
Oh, yeah.
Big League, you okay?
Oh yeah, no, my eyes are so dry from the wind today. I'm struggling.
Oh, we thought you were crying over Grand Slam track.
That's funny. I'm crying over the fact that they have structured the winning sequences in the scoring and the points allotted and the differentials as if it's a new concept. I'm crying over that.
Mm-hmm.
How?
I mean, the gap between first and second, they needed to rethink.
Yes.
Because if you win, you get 12, and second, you get 8. If you win, I mean, you probably don't have to get higher than third in the other thing.
So perhaps that was strategic as well.
Yeah.
How much do you want to overextend yourself after having won your major event?
Yep.
What's next, Drew?
Chestnut checkers, y'all. Chestnut checkers. NCAA basketball. That happened.
All right, I want to go first on this one.
Sure.
And
Okay.
please
I
tell me
wanna-
we're talking about both of them championships.
No, for sure. Because
Intended.
So I'm one of those people that likes to look at the center of the screen and then ignore that and look at the outside edges, because a lot of times the story is going on back there. What was very obvious to me in the press conferences, in the Final Four, and then the pregame press conference, and then the in-game commentary with Gino, he got tired of people talking about other people and not talking about him and not talking about his program. And he was like, y'all seem to have forgot. So I guarantee the conversation he had with the young ladies from the University of Connecticut is, listen, what ain't going to happen is us leave here without this championship. What was also very evident to me is that Coach Staley has been doing what Coach Staley does, but complacency is always your biggest demon.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
What happens? What do you do when you're at the top? What do you do?
We know that she has been coaching the dog out of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know that at some level, a couple, 5 fewer free throw shots, just all those little things that happen when you've won 2 in a row and you've been in the Final Four 4 times in a row. 2 equally yoked combatants came to the competition, one hungry, one slightly complacent, and it was a blowout.
Yeah.
Now that's very interesting. and I'm gonna get some emails and some text messages on this one. See how he ended that? Said equally yoked. We all know that means something different in different parts of the world, but I am a Gamecock. Okay, I am an alumni. My heart was with Don Staley, but they are not equals. Gino is the GOAT, and he's
Sure.
been.
I said sure.
And to your point, you're right. You could tell, and it's not just this year, it's just in the previous 2 or 3 years when UConn was still really, really, really good, you could tell Gino feels like, oh, y'all forgot that I do this. And what everybody seems to have forgotten is that Paige Beckers, who's the best player in the game in college right now, has been injured. She wasn't around when Dawn took them out the last time. You feel me? So it's like, I knew it was going to be a blowout. I had no doubt because the best player is on UConn. The second best player is Ezzie Fudd, who was the freaking player of the year when Gino got her. And the best coach on the board was in UConn. So you got the best player, the second best player, and the best coach all on one team. It's not all the speed in the world wasn't going to be able to do anything about that. So I felt bad because I, as a Gamecock and as someone who roots hardcore for Don Staley, I didn't want to see Don Staley get blown out like that. But I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Like, listen, Don's got what? 3 rings, 4 championships?
I think he's got 4.
Yeah.
Gino just got his 14th.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, there's a
12.
There's a long way to go before I put Don Staley in the boat with Gino. And if Gino doesn't get tired of this new age world that we are living in athletically in college sports, he don't necessarily need to go anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to see Don get blown out, but Gino's been my favorite. Forget men versus women. Gino Auriemma has been my favorite college coach for a really long time.
Yeah.
Because you put
he's
a
exceptional
in his face and he just tells you the truth. Like, I love that dude.
Well, in this age, in the age of players being paid, players possibly making more than you as a coach or your assistants, players being coddled and, recruited purely because of what you're getting paid. Gino is the exception. And if you listen to Gino talk to his players or coach his players and keep them aware that he's not going to stand for what they're doing, I mean, it is actually really refreshing that he's able to continue to do that in this era. And the players that he has that have continued to buy into that. And one of the things that I enjoy watching, and I've really enjoyed watching this year, is post game interviews, coaches talking about their philosophy, talking about the recruiting philosophy, and the red flags that they're watching out for. And it's it really now, in my opinion, if you're trying to win championships year after year after year, you are acutely aware of the bad apples. You're acutely aware of what you're seeing, before a high school kid starts to play the game. What is their pregame routine? What are the, and this is how delicate this thing is. And more than anything else, he hasn't won in 9 years. By far his biggest drought, right? So you've got a 9-year drought, and on top of that, you're watching the NCAA completely flip on its head. And you're able to come out of this with another championship, your 12th championship. That is extremely impressive.
Can I add something to the impressive nature of all this? you have to know basketball and a little bit of history to have put this together. But do you know who was supposed to be the starting freshman point guard on this team?
Yes, I do. I do. And it's sad. It's really sad.
Gigi Bryant.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Paige Becker talked about it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, because I
As
think
if they needed more motivation, right? Golly.
right. And it was just like it just put it all in so much perspective, man. It's just
Yeah.
like because if Gigi's a freshman on this team, now you might be talking about UConn going on another run.
Yes. Yeah.
And who
Yeah.
knows? Maybe they will. Like maybe they will. But it's just women's basketball needed this very
Mhm.
badly
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because you needed UConn to come back to the top.
Mm-hmm.
Because what's always happened is like USC was the best, then they were gone, right? And then Tennessee was the best, dominated, and then they were gone.
Mm-hmm.
Then UConn era took over, and then they were, then they were toppled by the South Carolina. Baylor had two little snippets in there, but the South Carolina, run. And so
Dominance, yeah.
you needed an actual protagonist, right, to come back because it just hasn't happened.
Yeah.
But now you got legitimate two powerhouses like South Carolina and UConn are going to be right where they just were.
Yep. They're going to reload and they'll be back again.
Yep.
Like the top 10 players in the country are probably going to be at those two schools.
Yep.
So
So-
speaking to that real quick,
Mm-hmm.
not championship wise, but TCU, Notre Dame,
Okay.
our team got back 24 hours after that, the game and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
12 hours after that, Olivia Miles was on campus.
Mm.
I was like, that was fast.
Crazy.
That was
Wow.
fast.
Wow.
Like I was staying late to do work and whatnot. And one of our media rooms is next to my office, near my office. And I walk by, I hear them having a photo shoot, whatever. I go to the bathroom. I'm going out and she's coming in. And I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa, whoa. That's fast.
TCU ain't playing, man. They ain't playing.
No.
I mean, listen, but look, they just going to take that bag and give it to her.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can have Haley's money.
That was just crazy. I don't know. Maybe it's because I've not watched the portal close enough, and maybe it's not a track thing that like basketball is. So I thought that was very interesting how quick that was going.
Hey, Haley Van doesn't get enough credit.
Oh, dude.
Every team she's
Man.
on is in the Final Four.
Yeah. Yep. I can't wait to talk about the men's game. Oh my
Go
gosh.
for it.
So do it.
Ooh. So the day of, I get a message that if I want a ticket to the Final Four games, I'm like, yeah. I don't think anything could have prepared me for what I saw when I walked in that arena. And, you know, it is wildly overstated how manic SEC football fans are. I mean, I witnessed it as first time coach at Missouri. The first year we joined the SEC, and to see Georgia roll into town on Wednesday of the game and take over downtown Columbia, I was like, okay, all right, this is next level. When I walked into that stadium and I saw half the crowd blue, half the crowd, Gator blue, and half the crowd Navy. And I'm looking up and I'm going, there are 65,000 people in here for a basketball game. Look, man, it's officially, I can say I've achieved a bucket list thing that I didn't know I needed.
Yeah, right.
But that was phenomenal. Now, I think the games were definitely affected by that. I think the games were definitely affected by, and it's interesting how, even on my timeline, I'm getting a lot of the, people that are looking for the game within the game. Number one, the crowd noise was overwhelming. Like I'm talking like the referees are whistling plays dead and the players can't even hear it on the court. Insanity. Um, the court being raised as it was, I mean, the amount of bounce that the ball had and the players had. And then the main thing was, you know, a lot all the teams shot below their average.
A hard place to play.
A hard place to play. Depth perception is is a killer in an arena like that.
The NBA dudes used to talk about that
Yeah, yeah,
when the Spurs played there. It was one of the
exactly.
hardest places in the league to
It's
shoot.
very difficult, you know. Now, I mean, both games that I watched were phenomenal. Um, I feel like Auburn just they broke down. I think they were physically, two of their best players were hobbling. Like by the end of that first half, the second half, they were just done. And I don't know that they had anything left. And in the Houston Duke game, oh, I mean, to me, what got Houston to the championship game and midway through the second half uh, was refereeing allowing them to manhandle players, to put hands on players that are cutting, almost hand check. Like it was rough for anybody that had to deal with Houston. And I think eventually the youngsters on the Duke team wore down. And I think it was a lot more mental, and there were some mental mistakes made in those last 8 minutes of the game. For them to have not scored a field goal in the last 8 minutes, couldn't inbound the ball, couldn't
Oh,
rebound. I mean, it
oh.
was it was it was like I'm sitting there and I'm going, this isn't really happening. And you could sense in the crowd around us, like, you got to be kidding me right now.
I
You
mean,
know?
uh, I feel less bad saying these things now in college basketball because these aren't even really kids no more. They're all grown.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, Duke folded
Mm-hmm.
and gave a game away that they should have won, and Houston did the same thing.
Yeah. Well, I have
Houston stopped Houstoning.
Yes.
And I said that to you in real
Well,
time. Like,
you saw the
listen,
message I sent you, Chris.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you look, if you're gonna play the game muddy,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be muddy for all 40 minutes. You
Yeah.
can't be muddy for 37 and then try to finesse them the last 3 minutes.
Well,
And run sets with players that haven't run sets in weeks.
Yeah. Well, I
Right.
felt
And everybody was talking about Kelvin Sampson. I was like, that's not coaching because he's been coaching them.
yeah.
They stopped being who they were.
There was a sequence where there were 3 fouls called in 9 seconds.
9 seconds. Yep.
And I feel like Houston laid off after that.
And what Kelvin Sampson should have done right there is subbed out 2 of his stars, put in 2
Yep.
more goons, and fouled the shit out of them again.
Yes. Yes.
Because listen, Florida's point guard, who is their best player, was absolutely shook. He was in somebody's pocket,
Yep.
holding on for dear life.
Exactly.
And he was still sort of shook at the end of the game, right? Like people forget, like he gets the ball. He is the point guard.
Mm-hmm.
If you've played basketball, if you're the point guard, you know in the last 2 minutes, nobody touches the ball unless they have to.
Right.
ball gets inbounded somehow and ends up in his hands.
Yes.
1-on-1, he takes 2 dribbles and then fires the ball up the court with a wild pass like he had a grenade in his hand. I was like, nah, he ain't built for this.
No.
Because he should have just held on to that ball, got fouled. Like, that's how it
Mhm.
should have ended. So, like, at the end, if Houston had just kept Houstoning,
Yes.
they would have won the game.
Yeah. I think that's definitely the case.
But I think if Florida had played Duke, they'd have beat them by 30. No, I'm being serious.
Mm-hmm.
I think if Florida, because then they would have tried to play them head to head, and Florida's team talent is way better than Duke's.
Yeah.
Cooper Flagg's the best player in the country.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, they got a bunch of good dudes.
Yep.
Well, guess we just have to wait till next year to see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Different colors, some of the same players. I mean,
I'm curious to see if this trend continues, if the 4 number ones continue to make it to the Final Four. That's,
I mean, with the portal and the pay, I don't know how it doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, in theory, the pay's going away. In theory.
Isn't the opt-in going to make the pay even greater for the football and basketball players?
It is.
I mean,
so you see what I'm saying? Like, it might be going away in other ways, but I think basketball players are there's going to be more basketball players making millions of dollars now.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, true.
And the thing is with basketball, it's the easiest one, right? Because look, there's only 5 guys on the court, and there's only 8 that play.
Yeah.
You only got to really, really pay the 4 right guys.
Bodies.
Yeah.
Not guys. Bodies.
That's pay them people.
Pay them. Strike 2.
Pay them people. No, that's not strike 2. It's a different strike. It's a different game. It's a different mistake. I'll own it. It was a mistake. Still got to pay them.
Well, another big weekend ahead of us. We've got, well, not this weekend. I guess it's the weekend after. Still got a big weekend, though. There are a lot of things going on. A lot of good meats picking up this week. So, with that said, Kai, do you have something for us? What's that?
Say
baseball.
Montgomery biscuits. Foam baseball.
Huh. Okay.
AA for the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yes, sir.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well,
you can say anything you want.
Yeah.
What do you want to say?
Tell everyone bye, Kai.
Okay.
Okay. Tell them you'll see them next week.
So see you next week.
Peace.
Peace.
Kai said it best. Peace out, y'all. Have a good week. Be safe.